Good afternoon, everybody. James LeQueer, Town Board of Health, and we're at 12:02. Roll call of officers.
Gavin Byers.
James LeQueer, present. Additions or deletions not anticipated 48 hours in advance. Anybody got anything?
I'd like to move that the minutes of April be moved where we don't have Chris here. We won't have enough people to sign for them.
Okay.
I also would like to move 1.8 septic regulations where Chris is not here. To a vote
Okay.
one.
Those two will be taken care of. All set with that, Gavin?
Sounds good.
All right, now Carla, correct me if I'm wrong here. We'll start with Rip, the Colbert update, right?
Yep.
Okay, go ahead,
All
Rick.
right, ready? So, as far as the numbers go, so I brought the sheet from our last meeting, which was reporting on May 5th, and then I've got the most recent one, which is May 19th. There'll be a report issued by the state on mass.gov tonight for this past week's numbers. But currently, as of 5/19, Townsend has 40 cases. When we last met on 5/5, there were 25 confirmed cases. And again, just a reminder, these are people who went and got tested, and it was reported through the state lab, so this doesn't include home tests. The 14-day average daily incidence rate that we had looked at on May 5th, it was at 19.6. On 5/19, we were up to 31.3. Comparing those against the state's numbers, the state on 5/5 was 32.5 cases, and on the 19th it was 51.2. So both are kind of rising at the same rate, but the state average currently is higher than what Townsend has. Vaccination rates really didn't change, just slightly. So there was 1% gained in individuals with at least one dose, so that went from 75% to 76%, but fully vaccinated and boosted remained the same, so 69% fully vaccinated and 40% boosted. Also had got some information, so we kind of have been watching that wastewater data from the Deer, I think it's Deer Island plant, which covered like Boston and some of the surrounding areas. And so their wastewater data indicated a peak right around May 15th or 16th, and it's on the decline right now. So they kind of have been a pretty good indicator of what's to come. So it seems like we reached some sort of a peak. It could come right back up, especially where we're getting into kind of graduation season and other things. But it's nice to look at because it really does seem to be an indicator. And then the only guidance that was really updated recently was the isolation and quarantine guidance for children in childcare, K through 12, out of school time, and recreational and camp program settings. So I can go through the whole thing if you want.
Gavin, you can send that out to us.
Yeah, you want me to just forward it to you? Okay.
Yeah, I'd like to read that.
So as far as who we are working with as far as the case tracing, we're following up with all the positive cases, but we're really spending most of our time on schools, daycares, and congregate care settings and like elderly housing. So those are kind of our focus right now. But as far as COVID goes, those are all of the updates that I have.
That's it?
Yep.
Happy with that, Kevin?
I am, thank you.
Okay. So we're all set with that. Thank you very much, Rick. 241 Main Street, is that something we're going for, Carla?
So that's these gentlemen behind us, but they're
Okay.
waiting for their engineer, so if we could push it off to see if
All right,
he
we
gets
can do
here.
that. 17 Elm Street Upgrade.
Carlos got that one. So this is the Dunkin' Donuts on Elm Street, so the one that's right next to the fire station. The system went into failure, so currently they're pumping it quite a bit until they can get this system in. But what they're proposing to do is use the existing grease trap and septic tanks, and then they're just going to replace the leaching trenches in essentially the same location as they currently exist. So they'll have to be ripping up that concrete and replacing all the trenches in that location. So it will be a requirement that they inspect these tanks and make sure that they're structurally sound and that they meet the capacity requirements. I think they're, so they were put in 2006, so they're not super old. But the Dunkin' Donuts, they seem to go through systems
Really?
fairly quick,
Yeah, they're pumping a lot of water.
I don't know if it has something to do with the coffee and the acidity with it, or putting coffee grinds down the drain or what it might be, but they do go through systems really quick throughout our district.
So that only lasted 18 years?
Yeah, which is, to be honest, for Dunkin' Donuts isn't too bad. I mean, they typically get, like 7 to 10 years out of them.
And they don't know why. Like, it's probably the coffee, or is it, we have no idea?
They're not cooking anymore, so all the stuff that they bring is cooked elsewhere and brought on site. And so really, the only thing that they're doing there is coffee, and they're heating some things up, but
Right,
really,
yeah.
not a whole heck of a lot of waste going down the drain from that. So I can only assume that it has something to do with the coffee. And, they're a pretty big corporation, I don't know if they're looking into that, but the guy that owns this one, he owns quite a few of them, I believe. And so maybe 2 or 3 years ago, they had replaced the system for the one over by the Harbor Mall and Pizza Pizzazz, and they had put it used to be under the concrete, they put it out back in the grass, but that one was just replaced recently as well.
Yeah, I wonder if we could make a suggestion to have the coffee grinds go into a compost system versus a septic system. Because that stinks.
Yeah, and that's just a guess. There's really not much behind it, but that's the only thing that I can think of.
It's either that or their flow isn't more than what.
It's 1,000 gallons per day, and I would assume they're probably well below that as far as what they're actually discharging now.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with you there. It has to have something to do. It's just, the field is junk, but the tanks, well, they haven't been inspected yet.
They haven't been inspected, but the assumption is that they're fairly new, that they're still in good shape, but as part of this, they'll have to inspect them.
Now, I won't be here, but what happens in the event of another failure on that system? Are they gonna go back between the trenches where they were originally?
That's what they're doing right now. So,
Yeah.
Same thing, they would dig out any contaminated material and replace in the same location more than likely. And that would be the plan moving forward. There's some wetlands out here.
Yeah.
And so they've got a buffer zone that comes up here. They've got their drainage in the back here and here. And so really that seems to be the ideal location for the system. So I would assume in the future, if it needs to be replaced, it's going to continue to be in that same spot. But no variances. So as far as meeting the regulation requirements, it's full compliance with the upgrade requirements.
Yeah, it would just be interesting to be able to determine what caused that failure so quickly.
And there might be kind of some more chemistry that goes into making that determination than just kind of looking at it. But obviously they're going to have to dig that system up and they can try to figure it out. But I would assume it's in hydraulic failure.
All right, so
when they dug it out, there's actually like 10 feet of sand under this thing that they brought in and put in.
Really?
Yeah, quite a bit.
So it has everything to do with the acidity in urine that's coming out of that coffee, for whatever reason. I've only seen this type of failure one other time. That was in Fitchburg, so. There's nothing we can do here, to my knowledge. I don't think Rick has any other suggestions either.
I can reach out to the company, the owner, and make the suggestion. But short of that, it does meet all the requirements.
Yeah.
Its system's in failure and really needs to be replaced. And so it makes sense to approve this as it's presented. But I can get in touch with the owners if that's what you'd like me to do.
Yeah, I'm just curious for everybody's benefit here as far as what could cause that failure, because I think there's acidity in urine that comes from alcohol also for different bars establishments. And for this to be here, I don't believe the coffee grounds are actually going down. I think it's something to do with the acidity doing something to the bacteria.
Sure.
So, okay, where you at, Kevin?
Yeah, approve it, they gotta get it fixed.
Yeah, and while they're doing the reconstruction, we'll have to pump the tank accordingly so we don't have to shut them down, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I guess that's it. Want to make a motion?
Yeah, make a motion to approve the repair to the leach field, inspection of tanks at 17 Elm.
Okay. I second it. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Did anybody show up yet? Did you?
Yep, we're here.
Okay. Oh, we gotta sign this, I'm sorry. You wanna pull a chair up, and I think I'll even scoot over myself. I'll stay here, I can figure this out.
All right, good morning again. Here, Myers. Ella, how you doing?
Good, how you doing?
I think you all know me, John Barrett, I'm representing Mark Curtis. And
Evan Carloni, my apologies for having me.
is here for the engineering side of things. And I guess, Evan, if you could maybe explain
Sure.
to the board what we have going here.
Absolutely. So the plan here is for a mixed-use building at 241 Main Street. The system that's been designed, it's a chamber system that will go underneath the parking. The request before you today is a reduction from the local regulation of a 50-foot setback from the leach field to the storm water drains, which are approximately in this location, down to the 10-foot offset that's required by Title V. And what this will do, we do have an area up here to relocate some of these chambers, but the idea is to retain as many in place as possible and only move what's outside of the Title V setback of 10 feet.
So the setback now is 50 and you want it to be 10, is that what you're saying? Or,
State code's 10, which are trying to correspond with the Title V, the state code.
The original building was built in, I believe, 1988, and so we were sort of confined by the existing dimensions, of the property.
The current system is up here. It's quite a bit smaller because obviously regulations change and sizing of systems is larger, so that's why we ended up down in the lower lot for the leach field.
One of the things, I don't know if you have the answer, Evan, but I was thinking, are the proposed chambers or what's existing anyways, do you know as elevation-wise whether they're above or below where the bottom of the system would be?
I don't know that, no. Do you, when they were cambered, did you have a depth when you went down?
I'm not totally sure.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Where's the groundwater table here?
So we ended up, we didn't find any but one hole. Let's see here, where was it? And it was this hole. Where was it?
92.4.
Yeah, so it was,
We had water coming in, oh, there it is, right there. So we had 80 inches down in this hole here, but this is a ravine, this is like a valley here, so we were down. Everything else is a bit above here, and the water was coming in. I do wonder too if that had to do from the stormwater or not, from the stormwater change.
yeah, so it looked definitely different from the other test holes. So we had dug 4 holes in total out there, and the one that had groundwater in it was number 2, and that was at top of hole elevation was 95.95. The other holes were 99.41, 99.83, and 97.94. So the next closest hole would have just naturally a 2-foot higher elevation. but like Evan said, that one was kind of down in like a little ditch area. And so I don't know if it was a result of us kind of getting into the drainage system, or just kind of being the natural low spot where stuff, it kind of drains to. But the other ones, we were down to, 90, 96, 104 inches, and we didn't find any groundwater or signs of high groundwater in those holes.
Were you at, Kevin? Board of Health meeting?
Yeah.
I guess, and just so you folks know, we've already been before the zoning board and the planning board, and they've approved the plans for the conversion. Everybody seems to think it'll be a good fit for the downtown area to convert the upper 2 floors for residences. And we hope that we would allow some variance here from since the state requires only 10 and the town just changed its code in 2019 to require 50. I guess we'd be looking for a variance to whatever degree we need. I'm not sure exactly, Evan, how far we are off from the
That code
50.
was changed too in 19?
So the request was to go down to 10 feet, so I think, the new proposed chambers, they haven't been shown on here, but there was a note that basically says our proposal would be to site them up to within 10 feet of the proposed system area.
Okay. So I don't know if we have to go that far, do we have any more room
No, it's pretty much laid out. That's why we're,
Looking at
trying to
10.
see if we can just go with the state code.
Right, yeah, right, my expertise is not in stormwater, however, when you start looking at it, if you had 50, it just makes things a lot tighter. Makes things quite a bit tighter to try to fit those within, outside the 50 feet, where down to the state code, it shouldn't be a problem.
So what's happening up at surface above all of this, once the system's in?
Oh, there'll be parking.
The whole, so is this
Not all
like,
of it, it
like
will be-
right now, it's kind of bisected, right, by the
Yeah.
edge of the parking lot?
Yeah.
So is the whole thing gonna be parking again?
Well, not the whole thing, we're not changing the parking, but it'll all be H20 approved,
Yeah.
for,
Yeah.
to bear the weight of vehicles.
Yeah.
There would be parking over there.
Yeah, so a bit over half of the system.
So same
Yeah, right
as what it
across.
pretty much looks like right now?
Right, yeah, it would, nothing would change.
And then there's no issues now with like drainage water over there?
No.
The basins don't ever get overfilled as they are?
No,
Okay.
No, I mean, I'm there almost every day.
I mean, when we were out there, we looked at them as best we can, which was what was visible, and they were dry.
Were
There was definitely some sand infiltration in them,
Yeah.
but there wasn't any standing water or anything like that in any of them.
Yeah.
In some situations, Gavin, where the board makes decisions to alter things from what we had previously, we're gonna run into these situations.
Yeah.
And once again, this is a pre-existing condition, has to be upgrade people going forward, and we gotta give due respect to all involved. So if you'd like to make a motion to carry this through and get this passed.
I will, yeah, I'll make a motion to accept this. The offset for drainage basin to be reduced down to 10 feet.
Okay. Was there an offset for the groundwater also, Rick, or not?
No, so that was the only one, so it's considered an increase in flow, so it's really new construction as far as the code is concerned, so it's in full compliance with Title V. It just doesn't meet that one regulation within your regs.
Okay.
So I'll make a motion to approve the offset from 50 to 10 feet for groundwater basin locations at 241 Main Street.
Does that cover it, Rick?
Yeah.
Okay,
And so-
I'll second that motion. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye?
And then the other part is, I wasn't sure if you guys were gonna put any additional restrictions on it or notes, so I didn't type the permit. So if you guys are okay with me typing it up based on that decision and signing it, then I'll do that.
Yeah.
You wanna sign this out of meeting, or?
Yeah, that's fine.
Well, I can sign it on your behalf too.
Yeah,
unless
sign
you-
it. Is that okay with you?
Yeah.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you very
thank you,
much.
thank you very much.
Thank you so much for your time.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely.
Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.
Yep, thank you.
Nice job.
Thank you.
I'm not
See you
sure.
later, have a nice Memorial Day weekend. Don't forget to come out for the parade,
When is that?
Sunday.
Sunday,
stepping off from the VFW at 1:30, going through the West Townsend to Riverside Cemetery. Then the parade breaks up and then reconvenes at Spalding, and then we march through the center of town. Then to Hillside Cemetery and then back to the Common for a band concert.
Oh, nice.
So, hope to see you all there.
What time's that going on?
Well, it starts up at West Townsend at 1:30.
1:30.
Step off, the parade steps off then. So, and then we step off from Spalding at about 2:35. The Townsend Minutemen will be there and fire a salute at the Revolutionary War Monument, which we've been doing for the past few years.
Are they guaranteed to shoot at that?
Well, we hope we have enough muskets so at least one of them goes off. All right, thanks a lot.
All right.
See you.
Okay, 22 Main Street, change of use update.
And so, Gavin had reached out to Carla yesterday regarding this property, and there was a request that I reach out to Sally so that she could come in, so Sally's here as
Thank
well
you.
for that.
Thanks
I've
for
been
the-
summoned, and there's a couple of things. I brought a checkbook, if you're gonna find me, because I did a very bad thing last Saturday morning. I had a car full of flattened cardboard boxes, full. And I worked hard to get done with my appointments and everything by about 1 o'clock, loaded the car, went to the recycling center and it was closed, locked, nobody there. And this has happened before. So several years ago, I had a car full of empty cans, bottles, everything, cat food cans. They stunk the place up. It was in my car for 3 months because there was snow on the ground and the recycling center didn't open. Anyway, it's just a thing about me. I like to recycle. So I just said, okay, I don't care. They can fine me $100 or whatever the fine is. I can't drive around for 2 weeks with all this stuff in my car. So I dumped it.
what time were you there?
Pardon?
What time were you there, Sally?
It was about 20 minutes of 2.
Okay, well, they were there till 2:15.
There was nobody there. The gate was closed and it was locked with a chain and a lock on it. There were no cars, nothing. Nothing, I promise you. It's not my thing to do stuff like that. I'm not a vandal, but I'll deal with it now.
I have 3 employees that.
And there's no dumpsters anymore for recycling in town. There used to be. I used to take it down to Spalding School.
Where do you want to go with this, Gavin?
Pardon?
I was talking to Gavin.
So, hang on, let me read my email real quick, refresh my thought.
I've got a hard copy of the
If you do,
regulations.
yeah.
if you look at 'em.
If you don't mind.
Was it only cardboard? Because there was a trash compactor and a bag of paint cans as well there.
There might have been some cans, a small amount, and one cover of a plastic bin, felt like that.
And the trash compactor?
Trash compactor? No, that wasn't me. I saw other people driving in there after I was leaving.
I can see if you can get Sean Pearson on the phone, which was the employee that says that he was there till 2:15. If you'd like to talk to him.
If you can get them.
Yeah.
Call Sean Pearson.
So in the email, you stated that this was the first.
So I really just emailed Sally and called her office asking if she could come into this meeting. So as far as any of the specifics about that, I didn't get into it
You
at
didn't
all.
get into it?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's not picking up.
And so really, you know, in order to, you know, based on how I read the regs, it talks about a 21D, which is a ticket. Yeah, so really, you have to issue a ticket in order to collect a fine,
Yeah.
if that's what you chose to do.
Hi Sean, it's Carla.
And I believe Carla has tickets from when we were doing the COVID enforcement.
Have we done a ticket before for this?
I've never written a ticket before. So we got pretty close when we were doing the restaurant inspections during COVID with the masks. But we never issued one, and then this would be the first one that's come up, at least that I've been involved in, as far as the littering regulations.
Okay.
Has she conformed to the other stuff that we've asked her to do?
So, you know, that is on the agenda, so as part of the update where that stands, you had on April 4th, a letter went out, and that was based on the, so it must be, I must have the date wrong on the top, but on April 25th, you had met with Sally, and that was at the reading room where we met over there, and you had come up with a schedule as far as replacement of the tank that you were willing to you allow her to follow, and that first deadline was May 9th, when she was supposed to provide estimates from licensed installers. May 25th, there was a signed and executed contract with a licensed installer that she was supposed to submit, and then the next one would have been June 9th. The work was required to start, and then June 24th, the required paperwork had to be completed and a certificate of compliance issued for that work. So when we had met last, we had already passed that 5/9 date, and you guys had asked me to issue her a cease and desist letter. So an enforcement letter went out on May 18th by certified mail, requiring her to cease discharges to the system until she could bring the septic tank into compliance with 310 CMR 15.2231B, which is the section that we had discussed. And so that went out certified mail on May 18th, but I haven't gotten the return receipt back, so I don't know whether it was received by certified mail yet.
Okay.
Have you made any progress with these installers to do anything to make this happen?
Yeah, I've made dozens of phone calls, and I had to go down to the Board of Health in Air to get this list of installers after I didn't get anywhere with local people, and finally got two people who I think might do it. One is, I don't know his name, but I have his number. He's supposed to be very good, and he did get back to me. And then also Gary Shepard wants to meet with me about that. So there's two possibilities, but I have been trying. I know I have a deadline, but I can't make them call me. Just doing everything I can.
If I drove down to the recycling center and I found it closed, I would take what I had that was in my vehicle and return home with it. That's not cause
I've always done that, always. I've been
And-
here 8-something years, and I've always done that. This time, I just said, I've got too much going on. I can't store all of that stuff in the space that I have right now. It's in the way. And just call me an irate citizen if you want. I wasn't irate, I just said, this is crazy.
Yeah, but if everybody did that every time we would
I
close
know,
down.
I know,
I don't
I am
believe that we're
totally
closed.
on board with that.
I have a problem with this. My employees would not write down that they were there till 2:15, tell me they were there till 2:15. I disagree.
There was
I do not believe at
nobody,
1:40
I promise you, there was
It would never
nobody
close. It would
there.
never
Carla,
close at
hang on for a
1:40.
minute.
It would
So the
never.
only way this is gonna work is if one person talks and then the next person talks. That's how we gotta have this work. Because if we're talking over each other, there's no way we're gonna get anywhere with this. So Sally, if Carla's talking, please let her talk, and then she'll give you a chance, and so forth.
Thank you, Gavin. Where would you like to go with this, Carol?
Paul just texted me back and said that he was there till 2.
And the time before that, when I went, it was about 1:30 or so, and somebody was closing the gate and locking it. And I came and he opened it and let me in.
Okay, so I think personally, we're gonna be looking at this as a whole perspective situation and not as an isolated incident. And I'm talking about the vandalism piece of it. And at this point, I'm pretty concerned as a human being for you individually, because it seems like there's a lot of things that are going on that you really don't have a very strong grasp of. And I hope that you feel that it doesn't represent you well, but from the outside looking in, it really isn't painting a very good picture from our point of view. I feel like we've done a lot to help you move forward in your business life. And I feel like that well, I know that you've missed your schedule that we've given you. You've continued to operate. I know of 2 cease and desists that have been at least sent out. They may not have been received, but I know that they've been sent out. And now we have a problem with vandalism, and it's turned into a he said, she said situation. It just doesn't paint a really good picture from our perspective. I think if anybody was in our shoes looking at the situation, it would be an extreme challenge to try to figure out how we can help you move forward and mitigate the things that have happened already in the past to make our jobs work the way that they're supposed to work and help you as a citizen of town move forward at the same time. And I feel like I'm at a very challenged position here because I don't think you're taking these things seriously with your business, and it's a little bit of a slap in the face to be here talking about getting rid of trash at the recycling center. That's just another poor decision, if that makes sense. I'm still kind of processing what's going on as well. So it's gonna take me at least a little bit of time to absorb what's going on. I just want to make that kind of clear. Sorry. Yeah, go ahead, Carla.
I'm sorry, I do have Sean Pearson on. Sean, can you hear me?
I can, Carla.
Okay, were you at the center at 1:40? Because Sally's here and she said that she went to the center at 1:40 with her cardboard and paint, etc. And the gate was locked, there was no cars in, and it was completely abandoned.
Paul left before me. I left right at 2 o'clock. I had my truck parked to the side of the gate at 2
Nobody
o'clock.
did.
No,
I locked
she,
that gate right at 2 o'clock.
That's, I'm not buying that. I mean, of course he would say that, he doesn't want to get fired.
We have to one talk at a time. We really do.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
Usually, I can check my phone log. Usually I call my wife when I leave to tell her I'm on my way. I can't right now because I'm in the middle of work. But I left at 2 o'clock. I know I did.
Okay.
Want to continue this
I
in the
believe
next meeting
you.
with the full board?
You can ask Paul because Paul
Yeah.
and I left. Paul left like 2 seconds ahead of me.
Okay,
Make that
so at
motion.
1:40, you're absolutely sure that you were there?
I'm 99% sure. I can check my phone log. I'm 99% sure it was 2 o'clock.
Have him
Okay.
check his phone and call you back.
Please check your phone and call me back when you can.
All right, it's gonna be a little bit. Hold on.
Thank you, bye.
So if I go to the grocery store and I need to buy groceries and it's closed, I don't break the door in and go in and take what I need because the door is closed.
That's not a proper analogy. That's not.
If I
I'm sorry, that's not right.
If I have trash, it's still illegal. if I have trash or things and I go to the recycle center and it's locked and closed, regardless of whether it was closed early or not, if it's closed, I can't put it out there for somebody else to pick it up. I'm gonna take it home and deal with it appropriately.
Which I have done for 8 years.
We're not talking about 8 years, we're talking about this.
You are.
I'd like to call a point
You're
of order,
calling
please.
me,
Point of order is right now you're in violation. You admittedly dumped it, and we have a witness that says that he was in.
I did illegally dump it. I came in here and I said I did.
What about the other things you're supposed to be keeping track of and letting us know?
I'm working really hard on that. Look at all these installers. I had to go down to Air to get this list. And I have 2 people who are gonna do it. They're busy. It's not me. I've been calling them since that
I was in the
first
installation
week.
business for 30 years. I know all about contractors, how septic systems are installed, etc. And if you made ample phone calls, somebody is going to call you back and respond to your request. Everybody needs a job, everybody needs to make a living. So I really don't want to hear any more of that, because you got a full list in front of you, you had ample opportunity. You were instructed and guided by the Board of Health how to make this stuff work, maintain compliance and cooperate with us, which in my opinion you failed to do,
Okay,
okay? Now, I'm going to ask Gavin if we can make a motion to continue so we have a full board present, so that we can do this as a board, not as just 2 individuals on the board.
Absolutely.
Okay, we're going to continue this until our next meeting, which is June 6th,
June 9th.
June 10th.
June 9th is what you have on here.
He left at 2 o'clock.
He's
Okay.
calling that right now.
He left at 2 o'clock by his phone record. Okay, so that just tells you that what you're telling us doesn't work.
because he called his wife at 2 o'clock? No,
So when we continue this,
no.
if
And
you
what
have
about,
things
did he say
that
anything
you-
about the
Wait a minute
other
now,
person
one
that was
at a
in back
time.
of me?
Gavin has the floor right now.
Okay, I'm sorry, I understand that.
No.
when we,
So I checked the phone. I made 2 phone calls around that time. It doesn't say what time it was. Paul left about 1:55 because he left 2 seconds ahead of me. Because I know he pulled out, then I pulled out. I know that. And I know I pulled out at 2 o'clock because I sit there and I wait and I talk to my wife usually before I leave. Because she asked me if I ask her if she needs anything on the way home, like Hannaford or something.
Okay, all right, I appreciate you calling back, thank you.
If you want, you can ask my wife, or I can have.
No.
No, we don't have to go that far. We're all set with that
It's okay,
information.
thank you, appreciate it. Okay, bye.
Gavin, put that motion back on the floor.
so I'll make a motion to continue this to the next meeting where we have a full board.
I'll second that motion. All in
Just,
favor?
you should add the date and time and location.
Okay.
Okay.
So I'll make a motion to continue this for, let me look
It's
at,
Thursday, June 9th,
what time is it that day?
5 o'clock start.
5 o'clock, so I'll start over. I'm gonna make a motion to continue the discussion with Sally and 22 Main until the meeting where we have a full board, June 9th at 5 PM.
Okay, I'll second that motion. All in favor? Aye.
Aye,
Where is that meeting?
Right here.
I'll be here.
Okay?
That's it?
That's it for now. Come to the next meeting, please. Pike Turnpike Road, housing update.
All right, so, as you guys had requested, we got in touch with town council to see how to best pursue this matter. And so we went in front of the Board of Selectmen, and without getting into details, town council is going to be drafting a letter that will be sent to the tenant, the owner, the protective services worker, and her attorney if she can identify him. And it's essentially going to give her 14 days to correct the issues. And on the 15th day, we'll file in housing court to pursue compliance. So the Board of Selectmen gave us permission to do that.
All right. After you that, Kevin?
Yeah, thank you for all that.
Okay, septic
Chris was there.
regulations are gonna continue those.
Chris was there too, just so you guys know, yeah.
So you're okay with that number, sorry? Okay, we're gonna carry on with, we're gonna continue the septic reg update for the next meeting too, if that's opportune at the time. Septic permits for other approvals and updates.
So I don't have any other septic permits, but I do have an update. So at the last meeting, Jim had asked me to look into the PFAS issue at the Harbor Trace wells. So shortly after that meeting, I had got a call from Todd Melanson, who's one of the water commissioners in town, and he had pointed me to a release tracking number, which is a number that Mass DEP assigns to a site once there's been some sort of a hazardous release. And so if you guys want the link to it so you can go and look at it,
Yes, please.
I'm happy to provide that to you. Okay. So I basically looked over all of the reports that were available through the RTM, and there were high levels of the PFAS-6 in the Harbor Trace well. Mass DEP had started looking at sources, so Deluxe was one of the sources that they're actively investigating, and that was really the only one that they had current information on. They also just recently, I think it was on May 2nd, went back and they started testing some surface water. So there's a pond right next to Deluxe in between the Harbor Trace wells and where the Deluxe building is. They also tested the water right at the harbor right there. And there was one other location, I believe it was heading closer towards Timberley Park.
Is that the old Neb's building? Deluxe?
Yes,
Yeah.
yeah. So they had taken, I think it was 3 surface water samples, but they hadn't, at least the last time I checked, there weren't results that had been posted yet. And I believe the intent of that was to try to figure out from what direction the PFAS was coming from and heading towards the Harbor Trace wells. So I looked through it. I really didn't see any direct link back to the septic systems, and so I went a little bit farther and I contacted several people at Mass DEP, and they were pretty responsive. I heard back from them the next day, and they basically came back and said they're actively investigating the source, but at this point they can't come to the conclusion that it's that the septic systems in Timberley Park are a source. It's certainly possible that they might come to that conclusion, but right now it's they're investigating, and once they come to that conclusion or some other conclusion as far as sources, because there might be multiple, then they'll release a statement under that same RTN number. So we'll find out.
This is good news in my opinion, because they're following it through and determining where it is coming from, so we don't get blamed on all that because of our septic systems.
And so the couple of things are, there is a treatment plant that the town's actively working on getting installed, and ultimately that's going to resolve the PFAS issue and the public water supply. The other thing is that septic systems, they're incapable of filtering out certain things, so they do a great job of taking out viruses, pathogens, and bacteria, and a few other things, but they're really not filtering out something like PFAS. So if the Mass DEP does go through it and they come to the conclusion that there is some link to the septic systems and they determine it to be a source, then we'll go to Mass DEP and say, do you have any recommendations for the Townsend Board of Health for things that they may be able to do to try to attack this at the source, or is the answer really it's there, and treatment is really the best and only option that we have at this point. So once we get there, I guess we'll have some more answers hopefully, but right now it doesn't seem like we're quite there.
Do they have any kind of timetable?
No.
They're just working.
Yeah, so I know, they had, if you go, so I'll send everything to you, but when you go through the documents on there, it was basically the first document says that there was a release. The second document has all the testing results from the Harbor Trace wells. Then they've got a document that they had sent a request for information to Deluxe. Deluxe had responded to that, and all their responses are under that RTN. And then the last thing was that surface water sampling, but the results for that sampling hadn't come back yet. So it seems like it's probably in the early stages. I wouldn't expect anything, next week. But it seems like they're actively doing it. The times that everything's taking place are fairly tight, so it seems like, they're really progressing fairly quickly.
Yeah, is this something that might deem a monthly phone call just for an update?
Probably.
I'm gonna suggest that we ask Rick to do a monthly phone call to find out where they're going, so they know how serious we are about this, to get this issue resolved in some fashion. But it's good this is taking place. I'm glad to hear this.
And so the one other thing I wanted to mention too is when I talked to Todd, he requested a joint meeting between the Board of Health, the Board of Selectmen, and the Water Commissioners. I haven't seen anything as a result of that request, but just so you know,
Yeah.
it's out there, so that's potentially happening at some point in the future.
That's
Yeah,
good,
we're all
because
for
we gotta address this problem, we gotta determine where the source is that's causing these issues, and we wanna make sure that it's not our septic system. So if it is the septic system, we gotta figure out what to do to help to eliminate, so we're not gonna have these issues in the water. So it's homework we have to do, Rick, is what it is.
Pretty much. I mean, at
Yeah.
this point, I think it's really you'll wait and see, and then you're
Yeah.
based on Mass DEP. So it's the Bureau of Waste Site Cleanup that is essentially acting as a licensed site professional. So if you had like a release of oil on your property, that person would have to hire an LSP. I'm assuming because it's a municipal project and a municipal release, Mass DEP is taking on that role.
All right.
Well, thanks so much, that's a lot of information.
Yep.
Thanks, Rick.
Okay, where are we at now? Invoices, Carla?
Well, I think you should take Dan, we've only, Stan, we've only have a few
Oh,
invoices, so.
Stan, he wasn't on the agenda, was he?
Need me
The
for anything
recycling
else?
center update.
Oh, going to, okay.
Yeah.
He's over there waving at me.
Yeah,
but I think
everything
it's for-
All right, thanks guys.
Thanks.
Thank you, Rick.
All right.
I'll be in your office if you need me for anything.
Okay, yeah, I'll see you before I go.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay, thanks.
Charlie got me the form signed by the town administrator, so I can file with Natural Heritage. I have everything ready to go for the RDA. Was it you that mentioned to me that the Concom was gonna waive their fee?
They were, but when I spoke to Mass Heritage, they said that they really didn't.
Not Natural Heritage, but the Concom.
The Concom, I haven't spoken to them about that
I'm
again.
gonna file it without
I-
the fee, and if they waive it, great. If they don't, then we can just pay the fee. Because I'm
Okay.
only filing under the local bylaw, because in my opinion, that's not jurisdictional under the Mass Wetland Protection Act, so.
I have an invoice already prepared just in case that doesn't work out
Okay.
and it doesn't fall through, that we can get the fee waived, and I'd like the board to sign it just in case, so we
Yeah, but
make sure
Natural
that we can
Heritage
have.
won't waive their fee, because that's a state.
I know
fee.
they won't. So that's why I'm saying I'd like you guys to sign it just in case, so if the land use and conservation says that there isn't any funds available, I don't want to hold this up.
Well, I mean, I'll just call and I'll come in and sign it
Okay,
as we need to.
okay,
Yeah.
And we'll just cut the check to get the thing filed, and then
Okay.
you can reimburse it.
okay, good, good.
That way it won't hold it up.
Thank you.
And then I made the changes we talked about last time. We talked about paving this area around the pad. I moved the pad back. And I've gone 20 feet around the pad on that side, connect that pavement into the front of the buildings.
Do you want to rip up this and pave this area, or do you think that that's going to be okay? Because that looks like it's a little worn when I was there yesterday.
We could just replace the existing pavement.
If we're going through all this
they're gonna do
work,
it,
that would be
right.
part of doing it
Right.
properly.
Okay, good.
And then the pad was sloping the pad that way, and we got a recharge trench here to catch any water that's coming off of the pavement before it gets into that drainage basin. Is what it really is, but. So I'm ready to file. Let's make that one note. I'm ready to file with Natural Heritage and with the Concom.
Okay.
All right, I think that's what we need to do. When we get the approvals, then we'll define what's gonna happen as far as the slab and how the re-rod's gonna be
Right,
connected,
right.
et cetera. That's a different
Yeah, we talked
opportunity.
about that before. That's
Yeah.
right. That's coming from the concrete company.
Yeah, okay, because
That way if something goes kafloo with it down the road, you got someone to go back at.
we have to cover our butts on
Yeah.
that deal, and I happen to have a lot of experience in concrete, so
Yeah,
Okay, great.
probably more than me.
I would say yes. Definitely yes.
All right,
All right,
awesome.
Appreciate it.
It'll go out in the mail tomorrow or Monday. No, Monday's a holiday, Tuesday.
Monday's a holiday.
All right, thanks.
All right.
Thank you.
thanks, Ken.
Have a good weekend.
Thanks, Dan. Sean just texted me back and said that his wife said that he got home at 2:25, which is hearsay, so I just wanted to.
Yeah, we can use that subject because it's the way it is at this stage of the game.
So you don't want to sign the MISA application at all today? I'm not confident that that's going to come through.
Refresh me again
It's
on
okay,
that?
because I think what Stan was saying is that he will keep it as part of his invoice for
Right,
us,
and
and
do
then,
it anyway,
and
yeah,
then
and we
if the
can do it.
Concom comes
Yeah.
through, then we can get it that way, and if not, so
Yeah.
we'll not do anything with
Yeah,
this.
that's,
Okay, that's fine.
He's on it.
I just want to make sure that we stay on top of this, because it's
yeah.
dormant for,
He's on, yeah,
well, now that we've got Stan, so,
right.
and which was what you said in the beginning, that you wanted to have the engineer and the plans.
If I'm not happy with it, I'm gonna tell everybody I'm not happy with it, because I wanna make sure that lasts.
Okay,
And the reroad's gotta tie everything to the foundation.
100%.
So if it's not done properly, it's coming apart. And we're not spending the money to have it fall apart.
Yeah, no, this is gonna
Okay.
last
Okay.
forever.
Well, it's gotta last at least 50 years.
Right, yeah,
Okay.
that's forever for me.
so.
I won't be around anyway, so.
So the only other thing that you have is a few invoices. You have my May travel, and you have the certified mailing for the refrigerator at 432 Main Street, which has been moved back. So it's no longer in the walkway sidewalk area, and it's turned down so the doors can't open, so
yeah.
it's no longer a safety issue.
It is still a safety issue because kids can still roll it over and the doors are still on.
But they'd have to trespass into our yard and go into the
It's
side and
still a
almost the
safety
back of
issue.
the yard.
And what's it gonna take to have that removed? What are we gonna do?
Home Depot is going to be taking it away when they deliver the new one.
Oh, that's good.
So I think they're just waiting for that.
All right.
That's all I have.
We're not doing the minutes because Chris isn't here.
Right.
All right. Future agenda items.
So on the future agenda items, this is aggravating, this situation with Sally. And it's going to be a situation where if she doesn't have dates lined up,
Let's see.
Can't do it.
she's gonna try to tie everything in the world into what's going on here, so, you know, we just need, I'm glad we left it for Chris to come back. I'm frustrated to the max,
Yes, I am also, and we need three of us here to make this
Yeah.
determination.
right?
I have a really big problem with
There's
being told
no
my
excuse for her
employees are
dumping
lying.
that cardboard. She could have
I mean,
taken it
she's
home
calling
and
the
sat
employees
on it.
liars.
She could have called you, she could have asked for special permission to get in, she could have done a bunch
I
of things.
open up that, if someone calls me and says, I have a couch, I don't have a vehicle, the only time that I can borrow is on Tuesdays. I say, I'm down there a couple of times a week, I'd be more than happy to meet you. I've done that on numerous occasions. The Bloomery had a ton of recycling and all
Right.
that, I opened it up for them.
Right.
Yep.
So if she would have called, I would have been more than happy to do that.
And I know that about you, Carla,
This
so.
is just, this is a situation where it's an example of how everything else goes, and I think we need to use that example. At least I'm using this example as, this is how you represent yourself with everything else. And that's why everything else, we've given you opportunity.
Has
and
failed.
You failed
Yeah.
at that.
Well, our next meeting will be at 5 o'clock, so Sean will be able to be here.
Okay. And I don't want, I actually don't need that because it doesn't matter if it was open or closed. It doesn't matter.
It's the intent that she deliberately dumped it when she knew it was closed, that she came in here with some alibis that weren't factual.
I think that Sean is gonna wanna be here and he's gonna wanna
He-
challenge her.
And
He
because
can be
that's-
here on his own free will and accord,
Right.
but I'm gonna say we can't request him.
I certainly don't need him here.
Okay.
If he wants to be here on his own,
I take his word.
that's up to him, but we're not gonna request that, so.
I don't have a reason to believe that he's not telling the truth. I do have reason to believe that she's not telling the truth.
Correct.
Based on events that have happened and what I've seen personally with my own eyes.
Okay.
So, if he wants to come, that's great.
As the manager of them, it bothers me to think that they would have left early and I wouldn't have known about it. It reflects poorly to publicly be accused of closing the recycling center and having it abandoned at 140.
Yeah.
I don't like that.
And you don't need to try to convince anybody else of that. So just say your piece when it comes time to, and you're not on trial, nobody's questioning your position or what is going on there.
You're not the one
At all.
that's guilty for this in any fashion. You've done a great job all these years doing all the stuff you've done. So
Right.
let's not let that be a thorn in
Yeah.
your side.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Okay?
so don't worry about that stuff. Thank you. Let me say that.
Okay, so future agenda items that'll be the topic on our next meeting. We want to put that right on first thing?
I probably would put it on first thing,
Yeah.
Jim.
Yeah, okay.
We usually have COVID, but it would be good to get that up and out.
Yeah, let's make that happen.
Okay.
Okay, stable regulations. I think that's got to be tabled for a full board. What do you think?
Yep.
Yeah, that's an ongoing thing, and I'm not sure
Yeah.
how we're gonna get that squared away. We got one issue solved finally, though. That place looks so much different right now with no animals and no sheds and no
It's
nothing.
nice.
Have you driven by there?
Yeah, all the time,
Wow.
constantly. It's nice.
Okay, next meeting is June 9th at 5 PM. I'll start with that one, Gavin.
Perfect.
And I guess the thing we need now, if nobody else see anything else to say, is an adjournment.
I'll make a motion to close the meeting, 12:59.
I'll second that motion. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, we are adjourned.